I want to know what motivated you to write this book.
So the book is called, I'm trying to get on the screen here, but the filter's hurting it.
Here, I'll do it. I have a copy because I bought your book. Here's your book.
There we go. There it is. Diary of a First Generation College Student. It's a very easy read. You can read it in probably an afternoon. It's 130 pages probably of text, but it's very light, very fun to read. But Diary of a First Gen College Student, what inspired me was really paying tribute to all of the hardworking students out there. And not just them, but the parents and the family members who laid the foundation for them to have that opportunity, because you coming from the Black community, from the Hispanic community, from rural communities, from very difficult, of all cultures and of all creeds, some of us are the first in our family to become a pharmacist, to go into business, the first to go to college. And so Diary of a First Generation College Student was born from the love I have for helping other people, and sharing my struggles, but also my fun stories that I had, because I was in college from August of 2012 to August of 2022. So in 10 years, I tell people I earned my PhD in nutrition and health behavior, but I earned my PhD in how to be in school for a very long time. And I've been a professor, an adjunct professor, and I was an instructor while teaching while in my PhD. And so I share not only a lot of stories for students, but as one of my friends who's 81 years old said, and this is not me saying it, she said, "This is the best book I've ever read, and it really should be called something different because it teaches you life lessons about protecting your mental health, and strategizing your life and setting it up in a way to glorify God, and I guess, or to really direct yourself in a proper way that'll protect your mental health and your physical health." So that's the long and the short of it.
Wow, that is awesome. So, what is your favorite chapter?
My favorite chapter, I'll read out a couple of the titles and then I'll tell you. So, I'm very frank or honest, for another word, in the chapter. So, chapter one is Welcome to College, how to handle the college transition as a first gen pioneer, because we're all pioneers in something. Chapter two, Google your future salary, how to choose a career you won't regret. That's a fun one. Probably one of my favorites. I always say in there, it's not financial advice, and I'll say it again. Setting up your semester for success. So, this is very important for anybody who has uh, family members who are in college, going to college. Effective studying, stay happy, healthy, and mentally well is chapter 5. Building your support system, chapter 6. And then chapter 9 is tips from previous graduates. I pulled 100 students who were first generation, their parents hadn't gone to college, and I just said, give me 3 sentences or less, your top tips for someone about to start their college journey. What would you tell your younger self? And I have 100 of them, and they're all organized by category. And that's very easy read of a chapter, and I just pray that God guides people to the right response and advice.
Yes.
But to your question, my favorite chapter is chapter 7, Be Your Own Best Hype Man slash Woman, How to Build and Rebuild Confidence in Yourself. And again, I start every chapter by sharing a personal story, and then I expand that to help the larger audience. So in that chapter, How to Become Your Own Best Hype Man, I talk about how it's important. Oh, I passed a quiz. Oh, it's just a little quiz. That's not good. That's negative self-talk. It's not. Every time you make a small achievement, it's the belief that you accomplished all those things that will help you believe that you can do the bigger thing. If you just think the small things were random luck, you're not going to believe in yourself to do the big thing. And even if you do, we're all still. It takes courage to do it. And so I share in there about how we can create these narratives in our brain that are very negative. Oh, I'm a first gen. I come from this background. Oh, I was lucky. We should start reframing that. Like, start complimenting yourself. Talk to yourself how you would talk to a friend in need. How, if a friend passed the test, you would say, wow, amazing job. Great job. Do that for yourself, because sadly a lot of us don't have that support system. So become that inner voice, work on that inner voice, and know that everybody struggles with it, but it's important to compliment yourself and have passion and compassion for what you do. And pretty much the story in that chapter is I was a great student in high school, but then my freshman year, I almost failed chemistry and I almost flunked out. I passed by 2 questions. And I went from that to finishing my PhD. And so I start sharing how family members and friends really helped me through that without them even knowing it. And it really helped my positive self talk with humility, but with confidence moving forward. So that's my favorite chapter. Become your own best hype man or woman.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for that, because that is so hard. It's in everything, and it's hard to do. It's very hard to do, especially, I mean, not everybody has a support system, so to speak. And so, being your own support system, you have to practice being your own hype man. You have to be your own support system. So, you have to practice it,
That's in everything, right? It is hard. And maybe they're there, but they don't understand.
or they don't understand.
And you'll understand this, right? Because you might be the only person in your family that went to pharmacy school, or one of a few, or you're the first in the generation in your family to go. And things are constantly changing. And sometimes it's hard to find that help. And it's not necessarily a good habit. I never viewed it as blaming my parents for not going to college. It's just they didn't have the opportunity. I just really wanted to be a torch bearer or a flag bearer, a torch carrier. And I knew part of that was finding ways to help myself by knowing about the college campus resources, what's available out there to help me out, because there are entire departments at all colleges and universities to help students. Students just need to know to go look for them. And that over time will help you become a better person, professional, and all of that.
Could you possibly describe your book in one sentence?
That's a hard question, but how to, I had it in my brain the other day. How to view, okay, how to shift being a first generation college student from a disadvantage to the greatest advantage you could possibly have. And that's a great one liner, I'd say. To where, again, it doesn't even have to be a first generation college student. How, but just being the first is a burden, but it's such a cool blessing, because I was the first in my family not to go to college, but to move away and go to a different to move away from home and go to college. So that was the first thing. And I went through periods of not having friends and having to start from the ground up again. And then I was the first in my family to get my master's, and then the first in my family to get my PhD. And imagine, by the time I got to year 7 and 8 of being in school, nobody's left. Everybody's either out of school or didn't go to school. And so, again, the only way I made it through was having that passion of saying, it's not the burden of being the first, it's the blessing of being the first. And I can read you the end of my prologue. It'll take me 20 seconds.
Please do it. Please, please.
I think it might summarize it here. So, if you asked me what helped me survive 10 years of school, the simple answer would be an attitude of determination and gratitude. From the very beginning and through the highs and lows of my 10-year journey, I was always determined to make my family and my future self proud. I wanted to honor the sacrifices of everyone that came before me, my siblings, parents, grandparents, and beyond. I was determined to carry the torch as each generation is called to do. We're all first gens in something, so I saw it as an honor and a beautiful cross to bear. Being the first is a part of life, and I was always grateful to be the one to do it first. I was and forever will be a first generation college student. What an honor it was and still is, thank God. And that makes me emotional reading it, because I only write when I feel that juice, that calling to write. I never say I'm going to write my next book. My writing, you hear me talking to you. You hear the passion, you hear the love, you hear the emotion, and that's why people like the book that I wrote, and my goal is to make it an audio book this year because and me personally to be the narrator because you could tell I'll get emotional when I read it, and I think people love that authenticity.
Right. I got emotional. I thought it was wow, I thought it was incredible. And by the way, I'm proud of you. Congratulations, doctor. Congratulations.
Thank you. When I get that inspiration that all writers have that, "Oh, I can't lose this moment," and that's when I would write, and you can see it, like, when you read my writing, you hear me talking to you, you hear the passion, you hear the love, you hear the emotion, and that's why people like the book that I wrote. Someone found me on LinkedIn, and they wanted to meet to get some career advice, and I met with them, and they then purchased my book and they texted me and said, "I just read the first page and I'm crying because it describes my experience." And I said, "Good. I'm there for you." And I lived it, and it was a hard thing, but everything worthwhile is hard in a sense. So, yeah, that would be the summary of it. My favorite chapter, one sentence, and ultimately, no matter what it is in life, maybe you're the first in your family to have a hard fitness journey. That's an important torch to bear, a flag to carry to move your family into a healthier direction, or maybe it's career wise or finances or college wise. But I think that's what we need. God calls us to be the salt of the world, to be the light of the world, and you do that by protecting your mental health, protecting your physical health, so that you can have the enthusiasm and the fervor to live life the way it should be lived as much as you can. So,
Wow, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
thank you for having me, and I'll see you again in the future. And congrats on the channel. It seems like it's growing really well, but even if you help just a couple people or a couple million, it's all important. So, thank you for what you do every day.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, you've been a fabulous guest. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you.
All right, Michelle. Talk to you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and glory to God. Thank you. Have a Alright.